Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com. Today we're taking a closer look at and of course installing our Airaid cold air dam intake available with the Synthemax dry filter for the 11 and newer 3.6, 5.7, and 392 6.4 liter HEMI Challenger. Check this out if you're looking to ditch the factory intake to pick up one that is going to improve airflow, bump up horsepower and torque numbers slightly while also giving you a throttle response increase and acceleration increase. This particular option from Airaid is a little bit more affordable than their full-on premium options out there because it is just a dam intake. It's just the filter, a new heat shield, and some couplers to attach to the tubing from your factory airbox. This is, however, going to be a significant increase, or a significant upgrade rather, over your factory paper element filter. The big pride and joy of Airaid's kit here is going to be, of course, that filter. Being a Synthemax dry filter, you can expect this to really have a huge upgrade in airflow. This is going to streamline airflow while also having a 99.99% filter efficiency rate. So it does a really good job of filtering out particles and elements that you don't want getting into your engine bay while still pulling in the most amount of cold air that it possibly can. Now, there's a lot of options out there in the category from different brands, but Airaid themselves has their own line of a bunch of different series of intakes. Some have that Synthemax dry filter, some with their oiled filter. Now, some guys out there might be wondering what the difference would be or which one's for them, and honestly, they come within a 1% difference of performance from each other, so really not the biggest difference in the world, but depending on your location, it can be easier to choose one over the other. For example, your dry filter is going to do a little bit better of a job filtering out particles and pulling in colder air for guys out there who are located in dry climate areas, seeing a lot of air particles and air pollution, because an oiled filter would tend to clog up a little bit more because of the increase in air pollution and debris. Oiled filters do clog up a little bit more, requiring just a little bit more maintenance, but they do a better job filtering out particles. All of that in mind, again, within a 1% difference of each other, this particular option with the blue synthetic material is a dry filter, so it doesn't require you to oil it every time you pop it off, wash it, and reuse it. That's a big selling point for aftermarket intakes as well. If you're looking to ditch that factory paper element filter, one of these from Airaid is reusable, is washable, and it is eco-friendly, so this is a good choice, guys, for those looking to do some routine maintenance and make life a little bit easier without spending more money down the road. Now, because it does not include all of the rest of the tubing going back to the throttle body, you can expect this kit to just include that filter, the multi-layer cotton gauze with wire mesh outside, the velocity stack adapter to help streamline that airflow and connect it to your new heat shield, along with a black powder-coated aluminum heat shield. This is also going to come with some weather stripping to make sure that it seals up against the inside of your hood, trapping out the hot engine bay air while keeping that cold air pulling straight through your tubing. It also has a couple of extra adapters that we're going to install with that heat shield, along with some roto-molded polyethylene tubing to connect that to your factory intake, as well as some couplers. There's a bunch of other hardware we don't have on the table today, which is going to be all assembled together. If you wanted to pick this one up, it comes in right around 250 bucks. 250 bucks can get you a lot of things in the category as far as cold air intakes. Airaid is known to be one of the more premium options in the category, and because this one is just a cold air dam intake, it is going to be a little bit more affordable than, say, their $400 option that comes with all of their bells and whistles. So if you're looking to keep the budget down while still getting the most premium quality filter and materials, this is a really good way to go. The install gets 1 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter, especially because there's less to install here. With that said, expect maybe an hour's worth of work in the driveway at home, possibly even less if you have a little bit more experience. But either way, anybody can tackle it in a very short amount of time with very simple hand tools. Tools used in this install include an impact gun or a ratchet, an 8 and 10 millimeter deep socket, 5/32 and 3/16 hex sockets, Phillips head, and flathead screwdrivers. The uninstall is extremely easy. All we need to pop off is our factory heat shield with the filter. Now, in order to do that, step number 1 is to remove your crankcase breather hose. Just pull straight back on that. The second step, grab your impact gun or your ratchet and an 8 millimeter socket. Remove the retainer bolt holding that onto the frame. We're going to set that aside and loosen up this clamp holding the heat shield to the factory tubing. From there, you can disconnect, lift straight up, and the factory heat shield is removed. You can set this aside. So we finally got our factory intake off of our 5.7 Challenger behind me, sitting next to the Airaid cold air dam intake. Just wanted to show you guys a quick side-by-side comparison between the conical dry filter and the factory paper element dry filter. Now, I did take apart that factory heat shield we just installed, which is basically just 3 screws and clips. That pops right off and gives you access to the factory one. Now, you guys don't have to do this. I just wanted to show you guys what this would be like. So this is the factory 5.7 paper element that comes straight out, and this is essentially what you get. A flexible, really not super durable, not washable, not reusable factory paper filter. This is a dry filter just like the Airaid one, but it doesn't have several layers of cotton gauze. It's not a conical filter to pull in more air and streamline that with a velocity stack. And it also doesn't have that wire mesh screening on the outside to help further the particle filtration. This does a really good job of filtering out inside of this heat box, but with all of that in mind, guys, I'm gonna set this down here. Basically, we have a couple of things to assemble for our Airaid option. We're gonna bolt our heat shield together along with some of the weather stripping. We can move into our velocity stack. There are some very small bits of hardware that we're gonna use from the Airaid kit to make that happen. But first, I'm gonna set the factory stuff aside. We can get to work on that, and then we'll install it on our 13.5.7. The first step of assembling everything on your table here is to grab your heat shield panels, and they're essentially going to attach just like this. Now, we do have a few screws included in the kit. They're really small, so just grab a Phillips head screwdriver, the washers, the screws, and the cap nuts. These are going to essentially bolt these together with these 2 open holes. So we're gonna put that through the inside, line that up, and set that nut into place. Now, the teeth on the back side of these nuts are gonna grip the back side of this panel and keep it nice and tight. Once you tighten that down, you can grab your weather stripping and we'll start to assemble them. Now that we have all of that assembled for our paneling, we're going to assemble our velocity stack by bolting that up with the hardware provided. In the kit, there are 2 thin, very small weather strippings included. You want to make sure that you're installing those across the bottom here and across the opposite side paneling. Now, they will just squeeze right into place. You can just put pressure all around, pop that right on. That'll go on pretty simply. And then the same thing around this curved edge, starting from the bottom. Next step, we're going to set this aside. That will get installed in the vehicle in just a moment. But next, I want to assemble things on our coupler. Now, there are 3 included in the kit. One is going to be for your 3.6 liter V6 models. This one here is for our 5.7 since we're working with our 2013 5.7 RT. And the third one is for the 6.4 liter 392 SRTs. So this is the one we're going to use. Now, you want to make sure you're selecting the one for your application. And there are also different size grommets and different size hose fittings for each application. So we've got our 5.7 set up here. Just make sure you're using the one for your motor. The instructions included in the kit will let you know which one goes where. We're going to take our coupler and our rubber grommet for our 5.7 and just install this into place. That will hug the sides. Take your hose fitting and install that into the rubber grommet. You want to make sure that that rubber grommet doesn't fall through. It'll just snap right into place. The hose that you're going to install this to is also specific to each model. This is the one we're going to use. We're not going to install this just yet. We want to make sure that this is going to fit right on over our factory portion. So you want to make sure you're pre-installing this before you get into the vehicle. The hose we'll install later on. All right, there's a couple of steps that we have to do before we can drop our heat shield into place. Number 1, grab a flathead screwdriver and pry off this retainer clip. We're not going to need that for what we're doing. Once that's off, just set it aside. Secondly, we're going to take the rubber grommet included in the kit that has the threading on the backside and install that onto the factory grommet on the inside of our fender well. Just gonna push that straight down into position. If you need to, grease or lube can definitely help you get that in. Once that's in place, grab a 10mm socket, an impact gun, or a ratchet, and remove the bolt on the side of our fender. So grab that socket and pop off that fender bolt. That's going to get reinstalled in just a minute, so set that aside for now. The next step is to actually just drop our entire heat shield into place. Now, the bottom portion with that weather stripping is going to go between your ABS line and the sheet metal. So you want to go straight down with this lining up those bracket tabs. This tab here is going to go underneath of that factory one. So we're going to bend that so that goes underneath, lining up those holes, while this bracket is attaching and lining up to the grommet we just installed. The side bracket you want to make sure lines up with the factory fender bolt. That one I'm actually going to install right now. Just going to do that by hand, then we'll come back with an impact gun. All right, just want to tighten up that fender bolt. Now when you have this installed, you want to make sure your velocity stack is seated properly with the larger portion on the inside. That's what's going to attach your new air filter. So have that installed with the hex screws provided in the kit. I'm using a 5/32 hex screw that tighten these down. They'll tighten it down from the outside as you see here. This side is going to attach to our coupler that's going to attach to our factory tubing. But at this portion, before we get into that, we're going to install the bolt down here to the grommet and the bolt up here to the factory tab. All right, your larger hex bolt is going to go on with a flat washer down to that grommet, lining up those holes, inserting that through, and just start that threading by hand. The last screw that's going into place is your 5/32 fourth screw. That's going to attach this factory bracket with another flat washer. So we have that in place, we can gun that on. Perfect. Now a 3/16 socket is going to tighten down that final one down by the grommet. Perfect. The next step is our rubber coupler included in the kit. This is going to install with your clamps. You want to have one installed on each end but not tightened. It's going to go on the other end of our velocity stack. Stretch that, and if you need to, loosen up those clamps to make sure that they can flex. Slide that into place. Now that first clamp on the velocity stack you can tighten down with an 8mm socket or a flathead screwdriver. This one leave loose for now. Grab the tubing included in the kit that has the hose fitting we installed attached to it. That's going to go in between. Now this coupler or this hose fitting attaches a very specific way. You can see the locking tab on the factory tubing is going to seat into this indent, and you want to make sure the hose fitting is facing the factory hose. What we're going to do is compress that to squeeze this into place, install it onto the coupler we just installed on our velocity stack. From there, install the factory tubing, rotating that into that tab. Perfect. Grab an 8mm socket and tighten down the factory clamp and your new one. Next step is to take our 5/8 tubing, the shorter one. We're going to install that over the hose fitting that we installed on our coupler. You can stick your hand through the velocity stack to hold support while you push that through. That'll connect down to the lock. On the other end, install the next fitting. It's going to go straight down. And on the opposite end, your factory tubing. All right, the last step here is going to be your filter. Now that filter does go on a certain way. You want to make sure the larger clamp is installed over the end here. You want to drop this into place. You might have to rotate it. You're going to rotate it upwards so that it lays flat like this. The inlet side is going to be on the left facing the front of the vehicle. Rotate that clamp upward, you'll be able to tighten it down. All right, now the last step, all you have to do is put on your weather stripping on the top of the airbox. That literally just feeds right around and snaps into place. It's got metal on the inside of the bottom portion, which helps it pinch the cornering of your heat shield. You just feed that all the way around. It'll seal against the inside of your hood and block out that engine heat, keeping in cold air. And that's it. Once you have that locked into place, the last step here, and of course this is optional, grab your Airaid sticker, throw that right on the side of the heat shield. All right, now you're good to go. Well guys, that's going to wrap up my review and install for the Airaid cold air dam intake with the Synthamax dry filter, available for the 11 and newer 3.6, 5.7, and 6.4 Challengers. You can pick your setup right here at AmericanMuscle.com.